and Hungary's outgoing Prime Minister Viktor Orban has said he will not take up his seat in Parliament after his party was defeated in a landslide that ended his 16-year rule. I am now needed not in Parliament, but in the reorganisation of the patriotic movement, he said in a video statement released on social media on Saturday evening.
Arsenal returned to the top of the Premier League as Eberechi Eze's Thunderbolt sealed a tense 1-0 win against Newcastle. For the first time since October, Arsenal had started a league game out of pole position after Manchester City's 1-0 win at Burnley on Wednesday sent them to the summit. United States President Donald Trump has announced that his envoys would not be traveling to Pakistan for talks with Iranian officials after Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi left the country. The US president told news outlet Fox News that he had ordered Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner to ditch plans to visit the Pakistani capital Islamabad for the possible talks, despite his earlier claims that Iran was making an offer aimed at resolving the two-month conflict. Hours after an Iranian delegation departed Islamabad, Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif on Saturday spoke with Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian and said that Pakistan was committed to serving as an honest and sincere facilitator. In a post on the social media platform X, PM Shehbaz said that he had a warm and constructive call with the Iranian president on the evolving regional situation. The Mexican government says 2 US agents who died last weekend in a car crash had not been authorized to operate in the country. The officials, who reportedly worked for the CIA, had taken part in a raid on suspected drug labs in the northern state of Chihuahua before their vehicle skidded off a mountain road and exploded.
And human rights groups in Venezuela have criticized interim President Delcy Rodriguez for saying a scheme to release political prisoners was coming to an end. Having been in place for just 9 weeks, nearly 500 political prisoners have been released under the amnesty law brought in by the country's National Assembly. Prisoner rights group Foro Penal says, but many more are thought to still be in jail.
Gaza held its first elections in more than 20 years on Saturday, but only in one city for a small fraction of the shattered territory's population, amid a stalled process to advance the US-brokered ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. The elections took place in the city of Deir al-Balah in central Gaza, one of the areas that suffered the least destruction during nearly 2 years of Israeli bombardment of the enclave. Held under the auspices of the Palestinian Authority, the municipal elections also took place in the occupied West Bank, amid perceived widespread disillusionment with the ruling Fatah party. Deir el-Balah, Gaza, early this morning, Salama Badwan, his wife and daughter, headed to a polling station in Deir el-Balah, central Gaza, to participate in the municipal elections, which are taking place for the first time since 2006. The 43-year-old said he was delighted to be casting a vote after such a long absence and overjoyed that his daughter, who recently turned 18, could vote for the first time in her life.
And the Mexican government has said 2 federal agents from the United States killed in a car crash in connection with an anti-narcotics raid, widely reported to be CIA officers, were not authorized to operate on Mexican territory. Mexico's security cabinet said in a statement on Saturday that one of the US citizens had entered the country as a visitor and the other on a diplomatic passport. And in a letter to the residents of Tumbler Ridge, Canada, OpenAI CEO Sam Altman said he is deeply sorry that his company failed to alert law enforcement about the suspect in a recent mass shooting. And after police identified 18-year-old Jesse Van Rootselaar as a suspected shooter who allegedly killed 8 people, and the Wall Street Journal reported that OpenAI had flagged and banned Van Rootselaar's ChatGPT account in June 2025 for describing scenarios involving gun violence. And the company's staff debated alerting police, but ultimately decided against it, eventually reaching out to Canadian authorities after the shooting.
That Islamabad. The capital administration on Saturday night allowed all types of public and goods transport to enter the city, while also revising business timings. The administration said all bus stands across the city were operational, except Faizabad. It said that the Faizabad bus terminal would remain closed until further notice.
And 31 sloths planned for a new slothnarium in Florida died before the attraction's planned opening, authorities have found. The mammals were planned to be showcased at a permanent public exhibit at Sloth World in Orlando, set to open this spring. And the United States has agreed to ease certain sanctions on Venezuela in order to allow the country's government to cover the legal fees for ex-President Nicolas Maduro, and who is on federal trial in New York City for drug trafficking charges after being abducted by U.S. forces in January. Maduro's lawyer, Barry Pollock, and had asked the Manhattan-based U.S. District Judge Alvin Hellerstein to toss out the case in February, and arguing that a prohibition on the government in Caracas paying the legal fees constituted a violation of Maduro's legal right to the counsel of his choice. And climate tech startups are capital intensive, timelines are long, and the technology is often considered first of its kind. What's more, a key value proposition is addressing pollution, an externality that is, at best, poorly priced by the market. Those aren't the quality stock pickers tend to favour, and yet public markets appear to be warming to climate tech startups, or at least some of them. And Samsung could be preparing to reintroduce glasses-free 3D displays through a new technology that may appear first on future Galaxy smartphones, including a possible Galaxy S28 Ultra. The company has been developing a new display approach in partnership with POSE-SEL, according to research recently published in Nature. And a planned US delegation visit to Pakistan has been cancelled after Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi left Islamabad without holding a second round of the Islamabad peace talks with American officials. Araghchi had spent the day in Islamabad holding high-level meetings with Pakistani leaders, but Iran maintained that it was not seeking direct negotiations with the United States. Less than 24 hours earlier, Tehran had also publicly denied requesting face-to-face talks.
That. Karachi. For the second consecutive day, rescue workers on Saturday carried out a search operation to recover an 11-year-old boy feared to have drowned after being swept away while swimming in a major waterline in Scheme 33. The boy, Zahid Mohammed Khan, was swept away around 2 p.m. on Friday while swimming in the Karachi Water and Sewerage Corporation, KWSC's line in Scheme 33 near Al-Azhar Garden.
And the Lahore Electric Supply Company, LESCO, has announced scheduled power outages in multiple areas on April 26 due to maintenance and repair work on electricity lines, according to the notice, and power supply will remain suspended from 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. in areas linked to Safra's grid feeders, including Yusuf Chakwal, Ijaz Textile, Unilever, Abu Bakr, Ghani Gaz, Safraz, Yaqub, Arc, Nishat Chunian, Shah Taj, and Mezan Beverage, Medigas, KRK, Golden Textile, Ravi Imran, and adjoining localities. And Samsung could be preparing to reintroduce glasses-free 3D displays through a new technology that may appear first stop on future Galaxy smartphones, including a possible Galaxy S28 Ultra. The company has been developing a new display approach in partnership with POSE-SEL, according to research recently published in Nature. And Chery has unveiled the Tiggo V at Auto China 2026, introducing a new multi-purpose SUV built around flexibility and modular design. And the Tiggo V is the production version of the T1TP concept showcased in 2025 and carries forward its core idea of a transformable vehicle. and it is offered as a 7-seater in its standard form, but can be reconfigured into multiple layouts, including cargo-focused and pickup-style configurations, making it one of the most versatile models in the Tiggo lineup. And the US State Department has ordered a global push to bring attention to what it says are widespread efforts by Chinese companies, including AI startup DeepSeek, to steal intellectual property from US artificial intelligence labs. And according to a diplomatic cable seen by Reuters, the cable, dated Friday and sent to diplomatic and consular posts around the world, and instructs diplomatic staff to speak to their foreign counterparts about concerns over adversaries' extraction and distillation of US AI models.
A United States naval blockade on Iran is strangling the Islamic Republic's main economic corridors, leaving Tehran facing a looming oil storage crisis and its citizens grappling with rising food prices and surging unemployment. Yet unless Washington is prepared to impose its naval blockade for months longer, it will be difficult to completely dismantle an Iranian economy that has spent years adapting to US pressure and crippling sanctions.
And here comes another one. From his guard booth, Benito Hernandez enthusiastically waved another car into the overnight car park, but the latest vehicle, like the others before it, drove straight past. And Washington, D.C., Donald Trump, whose political career has been built in part on deriding the United States press, is set to attend his first White House Correspondents' Dinner as president. Saturday's event continues a decades-long tradition dating back to 1921. Still, the Black Tie Gala held in Washington, D.C. remains a divisive event. And Snabbit, an Indian instant house help startup, is close to raising fresh funding at a valuation of around $400 million in a round, led by Susquehanna Venture Capital, TechCrunch has learned. And the Bengaluru-based startup is in talks to raise around $50 million in the round, according to 3 people with knowledge of the deal. One of the people added that the round could be around $55 million or higher, and as strong investor demand may prompt the company to raise more than initially planned. And as Apple races to stay competitive in AI while navigating tariffs and supply chain uncertainty, the company's future is about to shift under new leadership. On Monday, Apple announced that John Ternus will take over as CEO later this year, succeeding Tim Cook. And you open your phone to check the time or a quick message. The next thing you know, an hour has passed and you have scrolled through endless celebrity drama, cat videos, awful news stories, influencer rants, and whatever else the algorithm decided to throw at you. Even though you probably don't want to keep wasting your time and energy on this mind-numbing content, you do it again the next day. And every major tech conference has themes. Most are vague enough to mean everything and nothing at the same time. SUSE High-Tech Tokyo 2026 is doing something different. 4 tightly defined technology domains, and each backed by live demonstrations, dedicated exhibit floors, and sessions featuring the people actually building and funding these technologies globally. And TechCrunch is partnering with SUSE High-Tech Tokyo 2026 as an official media partner, and our Startup Battlefield team will be on the ground selecting one standout semi-finalist from the SUSE High-Tech Challenge to advance to the TechCrunch Disrupt Startup Battlefield 200, one of the most prestigious launch pads in tech. And here's what's on the floor.